Hello, comrades. I am Cosmonaut, and today we play Kerbal Space Program. Today we go to the moon. And here we have a liftoff of our first Soviet lunar lander. First stage is entirely solid rocket boosters. Big heavy spacecraft make for only very slow ascent. As you see, we are just now getting up to decent speed, but ascent will be long and slow. No problem there. We are using many mods in this, including Nova Punch, which I'm not truly a fan, Distant Object mod to see things, Hot Rockets to make things look much better, and this is fantastic. That in Distant Object spotting looks very nice. Yeah, now we are getting ready to fire our liquid fuel to help with the solid rocket separation, keep our speeds up so we don't lose too much in delta V in between staging. But we must wait until there is sufficient fuel burned from solid rockets, so as not to burn off our first liquid fuel stage before the solid rockets finish. Almost to jettison burning solid rockets on an empty liquid fuel stage. Still coming up very slowly. I'm not using Ferrum Aerospace this time through. I was having problems in other save file. But this one, the valve makes gravity turn different. When we fire our liquid stage, we start to pick up lots of speed. We're still a little too low to need being at full throttle, but without Ferrum, it doesn't matter so much. We start very slowly our gravity turn here and prepare for solid stage separation. And we must keep fingers crossed they do not hit our rocket. Burning out here. Sooner, but too likely that solid stages hit rest of rocket. Pretty contrary. Now we prepare to separate our first liquid stage. Excuse me very much. Launching is always the second most tensest part. Like my big awkward fairing, courtesy of procedural fairings, very nice mod. Actually, very first time I used this mod, and I'm a big fan. No longer stuck to rigid, straight fairing shapes, which are sometimes hard to hide bigger landers in. I like big, wide, fat landers. So you can squeeze many science things onto a fatter lander. If you take at least 3 of each, when you go to any planetary body, you can get your high orbit, your low orbit, and you're on the surface of science, all in one trip. Some people say this might be a little cheaty, but honestly, if you had space program, would this not be what you do? And we separate our second stage liquid booster. Go. Now our rocket looked very nice and phallic. We start our most dynamic part of gravity turn here. I'm very sorry that it is at night. I did this for timing reasons. Because as you see, as our apoapse comes up, we bring up our nav ball to make corrections here. But this just so happened to be when I could combine most of my burns to get to the moon and use much less delta V. Which turns out I actually bring entirely too much fuel on this mission. I could have left an entire section at home. Yes, now you see my magnificent lander. Or you don't, because it is nighttime and I have no lights on said lander. But there, just under the rocket, you could see the moon. And now when making a lunar transition, you want to kind of aim across your, really you want to do it from periapsis because of Oberth effect, but in this case it's apoapsis because we're going to combine our orbital insertion burn with our lunar insertion burn. The more burns you can put together, the better off, the more fuel you will save. As you can see there, as we come up to apoapsis, there's the moon directly on the horizon. So is lunar injection. We aim through the keyhole and just keep pushing our burn out and out and out and out and out. Zoom to correct. Keep pushing burn out and out. Very gently here we push it until we get our encounter. There it is. It's very high. We want to trim to bring our periapsis with moon to very low. Oh, there is collision course. You play it just a little bit, couple thousand. You want your periapsis with lunar encounter to be very, very low. Then this way you take advantage of Oberth effect when you go to make your to orbit burn instead of just flyby burn. Instead of flying by, when you go to slow down to hit orbit. The closer you are to the planetary body, the more effective your delta V's will be. You can expend less fuel if you are closer to gravitational body. So now we make our lunar insertion burn combined with our orbital burn to save fuel. The problem here is that we save so much fuel doing it all together. I end up leaving lots of crap in space. I did not mean to do these things, but that oh well. There is Indian man crying somewhere as I litter up space. So sorry, Mr. Native American man. See the difference only 100 meters a second can be? Trim our throttles just a bit. Not want to overdo this. As you can see, I have a mech jib on board, but I do this whole mission hands-on. I like the mech jib because I can check how much delta V I have left in stage. Yes, encounter. Actual. Now we trim it down. We bring our periapsis just as low as we possibly can. Trim it, trim it, trim it, trim. Yes, there we go. Get rid of node. Move on with day. Tip. 100 meters a second delta V. And now we do the time warp again. I forget song. Wonderful movie, that Rocky Horror Picture Show. You see it with the funny people in front of the screen that dance around, add extra lines and make silly jokes. They make you get out of seats and dance. Good time. Good time. Shoot through just a couple days in only a matter of seconds. And as we approach our encounter, you get ready to slow down time. You do not want to overshoot this. You miss valuable science and easy correction times. 3, 2, 1. Now check our periapsis again. Oh, entirely too low. So we must make correction. We still have big rockets strapped to us. It's good time to get your high lunar science. Yes, we will keep that. Yes, we will keep that. And this is big magnetometer. Thanks to a universal storage pack. Which is a very neat pack, looks very pretty. I unfortunately have bad design, and it causes collisions, and now my whole rocket jiggle around. Parts shaking, throwing off my nodes and my maneuvers. Hopefully it will not impact mission too much. Yes, now we make adjustment to our orbit burn. The further away from a body you can make a plane change adjustment like this, the more efficient it will be. So you can see just kicking it out a little bit, takes only a few meters a second, alters our periapsis by many thousands. I do not want to do that. Yes. Non-point waste delta V going up or down. Trim just a bit, just a bit. Yes. As there is moon, we use as reference point. We know we want to swing higher from moon, so we point directly to the side from our point of inference here. And we don't really need to wait for the maneuver mode. As I say, the sooner you can do a burn correction like this, the more efficient you will be. And there we have. Perfect. A very good trick for landing on the moon is to get as low as you possibly can before you start to make your break. Again, if you can combine burns, like if you can combine your deorbit burn with your braking burn, all into one set, you will save fuel. And I've seen it done, Scott Manley, do suicide burn to not smash into moon. I try this sometimes, but only with unmanned craft. I do not feel like risking poor Jebediah, hero of the people, on the suicide burn. Altitude seems good. We want to land on daylight side. Makes seeing ground easier. Original Apollo 11 landing from the Americans. Landed just when sun was at sunrise, so that they could see their shadow from very furthest point away, and use it as a gauge to see their descent, and knowing angle of sun and basic altitude, we could calculate how fast they were coming down. Nice to have backup. I assume they had radar altimeter. Seems silly not to have a radar altimeter. It's landing on something. But yes, that was their mission profile, was to be able to see their shadow on descent. Just a visual cue. I don't think it could hurt, but I imagine that looking the other way, directly into sunrise, would have been uncomfortable. I originally intended for these small boosters to be the ones to carry us from Kerbal orbit to the moon, but we were so effective and efficient on getting from Kerbal to the moon that we don't need them for such. I'm sorry about the barking. So, where looks nice place to land? I'll just turn orbit down just a bit. Just a bit, just a bit. Now's a good time to get the low or near lunar signs. Yes. I do not want to fire that magnetometer again, just in case it happens to break things. let us warp around to where we want to make our deorbit burn into landing. We go straight across the crater. Be a nice place to land. So let us start to plot our deorbit burn maneuver. Like I said, you want to come in as low as you can. I make this adjustment probably a bit too late, but altitude there not compensating for depth of crater. So, not too much delta V needed there. We still have plenty left over. We just make sure that we don't try to land on hill. It's very bad for rigid leg landers to land on big slope. If you fall over on the moon, yeah, well, you may be sending a rescue party. I do not have life support installed on this particular gameplay, but I have played with it before. It adds very interesting challenges to any type of gameplay. It takes much more planning to have instead Kerbals in space for many years, like trips to Jewel or Ilo take like 20 some odd years. How uncomfortable. I almost feel bad for Cosmonaut Jeb in this little pod for just a very few days, with only several minutes to get out and stretch his legs. Started our deorbit burn. We just need to make sure we do not end up in crater. So if you watch your retrograde vector here, as your retrograde vector starts to move up to the blue, the very top of the blue part of the ball, is when you know that you are killing off your horizontal velocity. We don't want to kill it all because we still want to get into the crater to make our landing. This unique biome inside crater. So we make this node just to tell us whereabouts that we should be making the rest of our braking burn. Check our delta V's. It's very pretty. Comrade Jed, do not fail us now. You will be first Soviet on the moon. Second only to launch, this is first most nerve-wracking part. Jib radio before he started braking burn. As you see, terrain scatter showing up much longer now thanks to distant objects. It's much easier to spot anomaly other than large just by flying past it, like to 10,000 meters. Now we just burn gently until our retrograde vector reaches near top. We make our landing burn very gently here. Keep a close eye on our surface meters per second. Keep it steady. Keep it steady. We don't need shadow to gauge. We we fly by seat of pants. Gently, gently, gently. Shut down. Haha. Jebediah Kerman. First Soviet cosmonaut on the moon. Now we can collect our surface sciences. Get all the sciences, Jeb. Time to stretch your legs. If you hit shift and spacebar when you get off of things, you jump backwards. Make for less awkwardness. Don't forget your sciences, Jeb. And plant flag in glorious victory. Oh, I hope this is where we landed. Too excited to remember. This Jeb is hero to the people. I could think of nothing better to say. Next time, we do the return leg.